Hi, I'm back for another green couch story time, and today I'm going to talk about my first acting job. It was a commercial for an American department store called Macy's, and I actually remember when I was first auditioning for this commercial for the first time, like my first audition for it. It was actually a callback session, but then so I went to this session, but it was my first audition. But for everybody else who's there, it was a callback, if that makes sense, because they had already auditioned people prior to that day, and then on that day, there are some actors there who had a callback, whereas it was me. For me, I was there auditioning for the first time. So it was my first audition, but it was some other girls' callback audition, so it was their second audition. And at that audition, I saw my friend Sunny there, so that was cool. And we actually got to audition at the same time together, so I feel like there's... a thread of something, like a cloth thread on my lip. I doubt I would be able to see it. Oh well. Yeah, so I saw her and we got to audition at the same time. Yeah, so that was fun. I mean, there was just one line or two lines, I think. So it was very fast. And then I left. And then I was in class maybe 2 days after that. This was while I was still going to UBC. It was my final year at UBC, my fourth and final year. And I was in class. I was actually in Asian Canadian filmmaking class. I think that's what the class was called. It was all about Asian Canadian filmmaking, so yes. And so I was in that class and we were editing this film that I had directed that term. It was a short film that I made called Patterns. And yeah, it's funny because Sunny was actually the star of Patterns because I casted her because I'm friends with her, and she was actually at that commercial audition. So anyway, it's like all intertwined. But we were working on that film in class when I got a phone call from a number that I didn't recognize, that wasn't in the contacts of my phone. So, but I think I have caller ID on my phone, so I could tell like the name, and it was the name of the casting director from that commercial. So I was like, oh my gosh, it's the casting director. So then I just left the class kind of abruptly, and it was sort of a casual class, so I just went into the hallway. And so I picked up the phone, and it was the casting director, and he said that he would like me to come back for a callback with the director of the commercial, and that he just wanted me to do basically the same thing, but with more, keep the emotion or whatever that I had done in the first time. So yeah, so then I was super excited because I was like, wow, like I got a personal call. Like I was feeling very hopeful, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and hopeful. And I had never ever booked anything before this, so like I said, this is the first time I ever booked anything that was a professional paid job and not a volunteer student film, indie, non-paid acting job. So this was like, wow, this is like a real job, you know, like a pro job, a professional job. So I was really excited to have gotten a call from this very important casting director. So then I went in on the callback day, and when I went in, I was so crushed because I got to the waiting room, I saw everyone there, and I was like, oh, I'm not the only one being called back. For some reason, you know, because my agent had emailed me and just said, oh yeah, you're totally gonna get this part, basically, just do the same thing you did in the first audition. So I really thought that I was like their favorite. But when I went in, I saw all these new girls at the studio, and they were all in the waiting room competing with me, obviously. So I was like, oh, I guess I'm not the favorite. I'm not like they're bringing in all these new girls to compete with me. So I was like, I was crushed. So yeah, but I still went in and I did my best. And then I remember I took public transit home, and it takes like 2 hours to take public transit home, so I had a lot of time to be in my woe is me thoughts. I was just feeling like, oh, I was under the impression that I was going to get this, and I did. It does not seem likely because they brought in so many other girls that are surely very talented and stuff. So my hopes were, I keep saying crushed, but what's another word for it? I was gutted. And so I went home, and then I decided to take my cat out on a walk, Tappy. So I took Tappy out on a walk, and I was just sort of like, you know, walking with her and talking to God and being like, oh, God, comfort me, you know, stuff like that, just praying to God. And as I was talking to God, I had been talking to God like for so long, like even when I was walking home from the station before I went on the walk with Tappy. So yeah, I was just in this state of like, this spiritual state, I guess. And I got a phone call from my agent, and I got it. And that was crazy because like I had only left the audition like 2 hours ago, and I got the email saying, or the phone call and the email saying that I got it. So I was like super excited. And then the process after that was really cool. I got to provide some of my own personal pictures for the set deck because this commercial was being set at a family home, so they needed some pictures of me to display as if, you know, I lived at that actual house. So that was really fun. I got to like send them a lot of my personal pictures of like me and friends. And then on the day we were shooting it, I was really nervous, and luckily the actress who played my mom in the commercial, she was super nice, and everyone was cool, and there wasn't any sort of like big drama. Actually, the biggest drama of the day we shot is that I forgot my Tupperware container because I brought my own noodles because I didn't know if they would have any vegan food options there. So I brought my own noodles to eat, but I think I had to give the Tupperware container to one of the crew, and then they just didn't know where it was. It was just gone. So I was actually leaving before I remembered that I was missing my Tupperware container. So I was leaving, I walked like 20 minutes away, and then I was like, oh my gosh, my container. And then I like walked all the way back, and then I asked the crew if they had seen that container, and they're like, no, but since you lost your container, here's $5. So I got like $5 because I lost my container. But that was still really nice. Or maybe it was $10, I don't remember, but a small bill was given to me, which is just very generous for whoever it was that gave it to me. But yeah, that is the story of my first acting job. It was a very positive experience. Yeah. Is there anything else to say? I think the reason that they did a lot of those auditions, because as I said, my first audition for this was actually the callback session for a lot of the other girls. And I think it was just because they originally had auditioned white girls and they were planning to make a white family for the commercial, but then they decided to go with an Asian family. So that was why they had so many auditions. It was because they couldn't really decide or put their finger on what ethnicity to go with. But yeah, luckily they made a family out of me, and I was like so surprised that I could even fit into a family because I felt like I don't really look like anybody else, but I think it all worked out. So yeah. Okay, well that's it. That's it for the story. I managed to say I and refer to myself as I in the story instead of like saying you all the time, which is what I did in my last Green Couch story time, which was really like just really confusing, I thought. But this time I improved. I feel like I talked better. So yeah, that's great. Say bye, Brownie.